You may recall in the previous class, I used to mention that while discussing interference, we have chosen a condition that uh, the width of the slit is negligible in the sense that we were not at all considering the diffraction effect. So we were discussing only the interference, neglecting the effects of diffraction. So in this chapter, we are going to study the effects of diffraction, and at the end, you will be studying the concepts of polarization. So the coming to the point regarding the diffraction, we all know, as I was mentioning in the class, we can't eliminate the diffraction completely, but uh, the diffraction effects can be minimized to a certain extent. That's what we are going to see in this particular chapter. So you can see there is an image over there. The Hubble Space Telescope does its viewing above the atmosphere and does not suffer from the atmospheric blurring caused by air turbulence that lays ground-based telescopes. Despite this advantage, it does have limitation effects. So some limitations due to the effect of diffraction. So in this chapter, we will see how the wave nature of light limits the ability of any optical system uh, to distinguish between two closely spaced objects. Any optical system, if we can take, so we can't eliminate the diffraction effects completely, but we can reduce to certain extent by modifying certain parameters. We are going to see those things in this particular chapter. Okay, so on a lighter note, you can see. Do you think there is any relationship between diffraction and this image? Anyone?
The color on its nose.
The color?
On the monkey's nose, maybe that
Yes,
caused
yes,
it.
yes, yes. So the color makes the difference. Yes. The question is, what makes the face of a mandrill baboon blue? So of course, the thing is diffraction. So I want an explanation to this. Maybe at the end of this chapter, you will be able to explain it to me. I think still you have a week or so. Just find out why it could be. So let us discuss that about the color of blue at the end of the chapter. So let us continue with that. So in this chapter, the main objective of this chapter is in order to understand the principles of diffraction. This will tell you this will explain the intensity distribution in case of diffraction under various conditions. We are going to see under the slit as well as under the circular cases. And you already have studied how the intensity distribution will be in case of interference alone, right? So when we are studying the intensity distribution there, we were limiting the effects of diffraction. Or in the sense, we are not considered the diffraction effects at all in our previous discussion. So this next another objective is in order to explain the effect of diffraction of light waves at single slit, multiple slits, and circular aperture. So you will start with the diffraction at one slit, then we will go with the two slits, then with the multiple slits, and then finally we're going to discuss also the effects of diffraction if the apertures are circular. So which is very important, because generally if you take any of the optical system, most of the apertures are circular nature. If you take it even a camera lens or any optical instrument like microscope, or in fact, if you take our human eye, the pupil human eye is also a circular one, right? So it is also essential to see the effect of diffraction over there. Next, at the end, we will be studying the effects of polarization. That is last in optics, the effects of polarization phenomena, and what are the techniques which can be adapted in order to obtain the polarized light. So we'll be discussing the various techniques in this unit. Okay, coming to the diffraction. Again, as I mentioned, that Huygens postulate plays a crucial role we all know that light acts as a wave according to it, and if we have a whole wavefront, and after a certain time t, you have a new wavefront. If you draw a tangent to it. So we all know the wavefront is a continuous locus of points which are in the same state of vibration, right? So they are in the same state of vibration. So you can see here. So here they all are in the same state of vibration. All points on the wave front, they will serve as a point source of spherical secondary wavelets. If you take this is a point source for this wavelet. This is a point source for this. This is the point source. Now, after time t, as I mentioned, you will find the position of the new wavefront. Just draw a tangent to the secondary wavelets. You will get the position of the new wavefront. So this is essential when you are particularly when you are talking about the wave nature of light and in fact in diffraction. Now coming to the differences between interference and diffraction, this is one thing which is always will be there in the mind. So whether both are same or both are different, if at all, what is the difference between them, or what actually is interference or what actually is diffraction, because we saw an intensity distribution pattern, and we say sometimes a diffraction pattern, sometimes an interference pattern, right? So the thing is, when we tell interference, it's a superposition of two separate wavefronts originating from the coherent source, like Young's double slit. In this case, we talk about superposition of secondary wavelets originating from different parts of the same wavefront. Okay, different parts of the same wavefront. Why, I will tell you little later. Okay, so this is not possible in the previous case due to some reasons. I want to answer from you while discussing the single slit diffraction. Okay, so when you are talking about the two things, the common thing is superposition. So both are superposition phenomena in which it involves the addition of two waves, right? So both are superposition phenomena. Now, only thing is here the two wavefronts, so the two separate wavefronts originate from coherent sources. Here the two wavelets originate from the same wavefront. Here, if you notice, the fringe separation or what you call as the fringe width will be the same, but here you will have a unequal bandwidth of fringe width. So if you in interference pattern, you might have noticed that all the intensities are equal. In the sense you have a uniform intensity. Here you will see a non-uniform intensity pattern. So these are some of the things which you need to look into it when discussing the diffraction. So both are superposition phenomena. Only thing is the waves originate from two separate wavefronts, whereas here the wavelets originate from the different parts of the same wavefront. Equal fringe width, here unequal fringe width. So and you have uniform intensity. If you take all bright bands, you'll have roughly same intensity. Here, if you see that the intensity will no longer remain same, it keeps varying. In fact, it keeps on decreasing as you move away from the central maxima. Okay, so there are two types of diffraction. Yes.
Sir, will you please get back to the? Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. Any query?
No, sir.
These are all the fundamentals. So that's why I'm starting with the basics so that we can build upon it at little later stage. It is easy for me to convince as well as for you to follow it up. Okay, and there are two types of diffraction. One is called Fresnel diffraction. Another one is called Fraunhofer diffraction. So both incident and emergent wavefronts are spherical or cylindrical in this case, whereas both incident and emergent wavefronts are plane. Now, here you will see both the source and the screen are effectively at finite distances. That is, you have a source as well as a screen at which the diffraction pattern forms are at finite distance. In case of a Fraunhofer diffraction, the screen is also at infinite distance, the source is also at infinite distance. So that means the waves are to be plane. Now, we are not going to use any lens in Fresnel type of diffraction, whereas two convex lenses are used in case of a Fraunhofer diffraction. So the analysis of pattern is complicated in case of Fresnel. In case of Fraunhofer diffraction, the analysis of pattern is simple. So these are some of the differences between the two types of diffraction. One is the Fresnel type of diffraction, another one is Fraunhofer type of diffraction. So both incident and emergent wavefronts are spherical. Here it is plane. You have the source and screen at finite distance. You have source and screen at infinite distance. You're not going to use any lens in this. In this case, you are going to use two convex lenses. The third one, okay, that's regarding the analysis part. It's little complicated and it is simple. We will see the image. You can see there are two things. The first one is the Fresnel type of diffraction, as I was mentioning. You have the source and the screen. Okay, you can see the source as well as the screen, which are at the finite distances. You have a slit over here, and you can see in case of the Fraunhofer diffraction, the source is at infinite distance and screen is also at infinite distance. In general, you can do the same in the laboratory conditions. Infinity is just something keeping the source at infinite and screen at infinite does not make sense. What you can do is in laboratory conditions, the Fraunhofer diffraction can be analyzed by using two lenses. So you use two lenses over here. That is basically to convert the spherical wavefront into plane and vice versa. So that is why you are using the two convex lenses to achieve the same. So Fresnel, source and screen are at finite, whereas in case of Fraunhofer, they are at infinite distance. So in order to process the image or convert it to the plane wavefront, you use two convex lenses so that it will form the image at some finite distance over a screen. And it looks, if you keep a source and if you put a lens over here, what will happen is you have a plane wavefront, right? So it gives that an impression that if the wavefront is plane, that it gives an impression that the wave is coming from a far distant source. If you take any spherical source, so if you see if this is a source of disturbance, if you see it keeps on becoming, it is more spherical if it is very close to the source. The moment when you are very far from the source, it becomes a planar. We just make an approximation, right? That is why. Just a minute, and erase it. So I'll draw using a pen. That would be better. Okay. So if this is a sorry. Take a pen. So when you are going far and far, you can make that as a plane approximation. So where if you are close to the source, that is, if you are close to the source, the wavefront will be spherical in nature. If you are very far, you can make a plane approximation. So that is why you are using a lens here that gives an impression that the source is at infinite distance. Practically, it is at a finite distance in case of the laboratory conditions. Okay. Now, what is diffraction? What is diffraction? Can anyone tell me?
Sir, when light bends about sharp corners where it shouldn't bend actually.
Okay. Okay. So bending of light around a slit or a sharp object and encroachment into the region of geometrical shadow is called diffraction. Otherwise, we can put it in a way where light of wavelength of comparable or larger than the width of the slit spreads out in all forward direction upon passing through the slit. The above phenomena is known as diffraction. You can see two patterns over there. In the diffraction pattern here, you can see the diffraction pattern which is appearing on the screen when light is passing through a narrow slit. So when it is passing through a narrow vertical slit, this is what the image looks like. And you have the second one. It is also again a diffraction pattern created by illumination of a penny with the penny position in the midway between the source and the screen. So in this case, you will getting a circular diffraction pattern. In this case, you have a diffraction pattern which is in terms of straight line. But one thing, if you observe carefully, as I was mentioning earlier, if you move away from the central maxima, if you see here, the intensity keeps on decreasing. If you see that this intensity is more, then the intensity decreases. Then if you move away from the central maxima, the intensity decreases. Even in this case also. I'll just change the color. So you can see here, and here also you can see here. As you move away from the center, you can see the intensity drops, and here also you can see when you move from the center, the intensity keeps on decreasing when you move away from the center. And one thing, not only the center, the fringe separation is also not the same, unlike in case of interference. So light of wavelength comparable to or larger than the width of the slit spreads out in forward direction upon passing through it. The above phenomena we refer to as diffraction. Okay. Now, so coming to the diffraction pattern at narrow slit.
Last slide, sir, please. 1 minute.
Yes.
1 minute. Can you go to the last? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So let us start the diffraction pattern from narrow slit. You can see here. You have a slit and an incoming wave encounters the slit, and you will see a diffraction pattern on the screen. This is the diffraction pattern from the single slit. Now, you may be thinking how the superposition is taking place over here. So please recall my discussion when I was talking about the interference. There we choose something called width of the slit. Width of the slit is A, right? Width of the slit A is, what is the way compared to the wavelength of light incident in case of interference? Comparable. In this case, what about in interference? What about interference?
Less than wavelength.
So this width, whatever the width we are talking about, will be width will be less than the wavelength of the light. So in this case, we are relaxing the condition of diffraction. That means the moment we say that the A, which is the width of the slit, is comparable. The earlier case was very less than the wavelength of light, almost like vanishing. So A we are talking about, A we are talking about was very less than lambda. Now the width of the slit, just a reference, is comparable or even greater than lambda. So that is a small modification we are going to do. That the moment you relax the condition, suppose if you have a wider slit like this, and you have another case, you have a almost vanishing slit like this. what will happen whenever a wavefront approaches? Change the color of the wavefront. That would be better. So change the ink color. So this is a wavefront. Sorry. I'm just drawing the wavefront. So give me a time. Okay. Now we all know that please mute yourself. So there are point sources on the wavefront, right? Okay. Now, the moment you increase the width of the slit, that is comparable to the wavelength of light, then what you have is the large portion of the wavefront occupies the width of the slit. In interference, you will be having multiple point sources for the wavefront, but since the width of the slit is very small, that is in this case, you will see only a small portion of the wavefront occupies the slit, which is almost getting vanished. Whereas in diffraction, the width of the slit is occupied by large portion of the wavefront. That means you have multiple point sources present over there. So now you get a diffraction pattern due to the superposition of waves arriving from same portion of the wavefront. That's what I was talking about. In case of interference, so it is from one slit, you can just see that only one point source may be there. So in this, in case of an interference at a slit, a point source will be present. In case of a diffraction, you will see number of point sources present will be more. So you will get a diffraction pattern due to superposition of waves arriving from the different point sources of the same wavefront. So coming to our discussion, you have a single slit here. A wavefront is approaching. The width of the slit is comparable to the wavelength of light, and in that case, the larger portion of the wavefront occupies here, and the waves originating from the same wavefront produces a diffraction pattern on the screen. And if you notice over here, the intensity pattern varies. So in this, as I was mentioning earlier, we can achieve this by using the converging lens, which focuses the parallel rays on a nearby screen. So this pattern is single slit is similar to what we call it as a Fraunhofer type of a diffraction. Continuing with it, in order to analyze the diffraction pattern, what we will do is let us divide the slit into two parts. So if width of the slit is, let us say A, we'll make it as two equal parts, that is A by 2 and A by 2. So if this part difference is exactly half wavelength, so then the pairs of waves cancel each other and produce destructive interference. That means, suppose if ray 1 and ray 3 are out of phase by 180 degrees, that is ray 1 and ray 3 are out of phase by 180 degrees, then corresponding part difference, we know that it is A by 2 sin theta, right? If you draw this triangle, you will get taken. It is A by 2 sin theta. If you define sin theta, this is the path difference, right? And this is A by 2, and sin theta is opposite side by hypotenuse. So you will get sin theta is equal to path difference right? This width divided by A by 2. So the path difference is equal to A by 2 into sin theta. So this width. So we can write the path difference as A by 2 sin theta, so is equal to plus or minus lambda by 2, because the two above the central maxima you can take it, and again you have the dark bands below, so you can take it as minus for convention. So you have plus or minus lambda by 2 you will produce a destructive interference. Now, do the same thing if you divide the slits into 4 equal parts and apply the same reasoning, then you find that again at a case you will see the destructive interference under a condition a by 4 sin theta is equal to plus or minus lambda by 2, or it will become sin theta is equal to plus or minus 2 lambda by a. So we can write down a general condition where for the condition for dark in case of diffraction at single slit as sin theta dark is equal to m lambda by a, where m is equal to plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, and so on. And this equation looks like a sin theta is equal to m lambda. Like in case of interference, you have d sin theta is equal to m lambda. Don't get confused here. A represents here the width of the slit. In case of interference, you have something called d sin theta is equal to m lambda for the bright fringe. There d talks about the separation between the two bright fringes. Here we are talking about the separation. It's not the separation. The width of the slit. The d is the separation between the two slits. So for the condition for destructive interference, we have sin theta is equal to m lambda by a. Now, let us now try to analyze the intensity at single slit diffraction pattern. That is, let us take a case of a single slit. You know this is the maximum intensity you are going to get is at the center. As you move away from the center, the intensity, we call it as a I1, I2, I3, keeps decreasing. So you have the expression for intensity in single slit as I is equal to I max sine of pi a sin theta by lambda by pi a sin theta by lambda, where you have the maximum intensity you are going to get is at theta is equal to 0. That is the central maximum, and lambda is the wavelength of light which is illuminating the slit. Now, coming to the further discussion, suppose I'm asking you, let us take a case of when we choose the width of the slit is exactly the same as that of wavelength. So what kind of pattern you expect on the screen? Can anyone tell me? You would expect a pattern like this, or what will be this pattern? If I choose the width of the slit, that is A, exactly the same as the wavelength of light, what kind of pattern you will notice on the screen? Can anyone brief me?
Sir, then there will be no pattern, sir. The diffraction only won't happen because
Diffraction won't happen. Just now we have discussed that when it is comparable to the wavelength of light, right? Yes?
Sir?
Yes? Anyone can tell me if I choose A is equal to lambda, what will happen? Yes? Can anyone tell me? Now, what I'm discussing over here is, suppose if I take the A is exactly is equal to lambda, what will happen on the screen? What kind of pattern you are going to expect on the screen? That's my question. This is a plot of intensity versus pi a sin theta by lambda. Anyone? Somebody told diffraction will not happen. As I told, diffraction will not happen is not a right answer because we can't eliminate the diffraction. Will be there, but how? Anyone?
So destructive interference, right?
Destructive interference will happen. I hope you understood my question, right? I'm asking, suppose if you are, what you can say, choosing the width of the slit such that is exactly equal to the wavelength of light, how does a diffraction pattern will look like? That's my question.
Sir, will all maxima have equal intensities?
All maxima, so no bright fringes or central maxima will be formed. Somebody is mentioning. It's very simple. You take A sin theta is equal to m lambda, right? You will see here, if you substitute take A is equal to lambda, what will happen? Sin theta is equal to m, right? So if you want to get the first bright fringe, then theta should be how much? 90, right? Right? So the entire screen will be covered by only the central maxima. I hope you could get. I hope you got the answer. Anyone has a query in this?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Suppose if you take A as exactly equal to lambda, you will get sin theta is equal to m. That means suppose if you are looking at the first maximum, at what angle it will form, that will be at 90 degrees. That means exactly over the slit. That is, if it is the slit is like this is exactly, entire thing will be covered over here. So you will not see any maximas on the screen. It will be exactly over 90 degree means what? It will be exactly over the slit. So that you will not be able to see. So you entire screen you will notice that it is illuminated by central maxima. The moment if I choose it's equal to 5 lambda, you will see here the central maxima, the first maxima is forming somewhere at the between 15 to 20, and the moment if I increase more, you will see the secondary maximas which are formed over here. This is the central maxima, this is the first maxima, these are the secondary maximas which are forming over here. You can see their intensities keeps decreasing as you move away from the center. And you have a condition where you can approximately find a maximum, not the central maximum. Okay, when I talk about a maximum in diffraction, it is apart from the central maximum. So you can be found at A sin theta is equal to m plus half lambda. You will find somewhere halfway between two minima. The position of maximas in case of diffraction between is halfway between. It is something like 5 and somewhere approximately halfway between the two minima. You will find the maximum in case of a diffraction pattern. And you all agree with me that you see that the diffraction pattern is not, the intensity, the bright fringes are not of equal intensity like in case of interference. They are all unequal in nature. Now, you saw diffraction at single slit. Now we will see the diffraction at double slit. That is two slit diffraction. Now you might have seen that the expression for intensity which is there over here comprising of two factors, right? Two factors. This is represents what? Intensity due to what? Please recall cos square pi d sin theta by lambda. This is what that expression we derived in few weeks, in the last week maybe, in the last one or two classes before, right? Cos square pi d sin theta by lambda is nothing but the expression for intensity governing interference alone, right? And this is a case where diffraction at single slit, when there is a diffraction here. Now we are taking the two case, that is the combined effect. That is, we are going to see the combined effect. That is the condition what we have chosen over here is we are taking a two slit, that is the double slit experiment. The only condition I modified here is I relax the condition of A comparable to A is comparable to wavelength of light, that is comparable or greater than the wavelength of light, whereas in interference, we just assume that it is very, very, very less than the wavelength of light. By changing this condition, the entire pattern, you can see here what has happened. So in interference effect, we neglect the diffraction for the simple reason the width of the slit is very, very less than lambda. That means each portion of the slit is occupied by a small portion of the wavefront, and we can treat it as a point source. Superposition from wavelets originating from the point source undergo superposition, and you are able to eliminate diffraction, because since we all know that in diffraction, the superposition takes place due to the light waves originating from the same wavefront in the slit, right? Now, since you are reducing the width of the slit in case of interference, it is almost like a point source at the slit 1 and slit 2. Whereas in case of diffraction, the moment you slightly start to relax the condition, that is A is comparable to the wavelength of light, you will see the large portion of wavefront can occupy the width of the slit, which consists of number of point sources. That is where the superposition of waves arriving from the same wavefront, in addition to already formed interference, will be there. You will see that starts overlapping and changing the entire pattern over there. You can see the entire pattern is modified. So let us discuss about how these patterns are obtained. So the combined effect is a product of interference and diffraction. In interference, it is governed by I theta is equal to Im lambda cos beta square. So total is this is the interference term, and this is the diffraction term. And we will consider a case that is when alpha is 0. So when alpha is 0, that means when does the alpha will become 0? When width of the slit is approaching to 0. In that case, you have sin alpha by alpha is 1. What you get is I theta is equal to Im cos beta square. Okay. Beta means I have taken it as pi d sin theta by lambda. Beta is pi d sin theta by lambda. Now, suppose if I start reducing the width of the slit, that is D is approaching 0. When D is approaching 0, what is happening? Beta is approached to 0. So when A is approaching to 0, alpha is approaching to 0, the diffraction term disappears. What you will notice is only interference alone. Now, when you start reducing the D, that is the separation between the two slits, what will happen is it will become almost 0. That means beta will disappear. What you get is a single slit diffraction pattern. So here you will get only interference. Here you get diffraction. So in general, as I was discussing, any optical system, generally when you are talking about a superposition phenomenon, any intensity pattern, it will be having diffraction. We can't eliminate the diffraction completely, but we can try to reduce the diffraction effect. So these two equations, first this one describes the interference pattern where the slits are almost getting vanished. In the second case, we discuss about the slit where the width of the slit is A is very large and D is vanished. That is, there is only one slit over there. So the same thing which is in the mathematical form, I'll put it in the image form. So you are going through the course of CPI, right? So where you have understood that visualizing the thing makes you more comfortable than looking at in a equation, right? So we will look into the image. So this is the first condition which everyone is familiar, that is when two vanishing narrow slits are used under the condition of A is very, very less than lambda, what you get is an interference. And this pattern can be easily explained using this equation. I theta is equal to Im is for I naught cos square pi d sin theta by lambda. Right? Beta taken as pi d sin theta by lambda as beta for convenience. Now, you have a case of diffraction when you are taking the condition A is approximately equal to the wavelength of light which is used in the experiment. In that case, if, the intensity distribution can be explained using the formula I theta is equal to, sorry, where is it? So I theta is equal to Im sin alpha by alpha. Alpha is equal to pi a sin theta by lambda. And now you have the combined effect. So the combined effect gives you a case where I theta is equal to Im cos beta square sin alpha by alpha square. So actually, strictly speaking, this is the equation we'll be using to study any pattern over there. I will call it as a diffraction pattern because you don't get anything, something called ideally an interference pattern, because it will always on interference will be occupied, will be accompanied with diffraction. Only thing is, we based on our conditions, we can neglect the diffraction on one condition, that is A is very less than lambda. The moment you relax the condition, diffraction effect comes into picture. What basically happening here is, because you can see here all the intensities are of same height, in the sense all the maxima are of same height, indicating they have same intensity. What is happening here is, you can see here some of the interference bands are getting decreased. Not only that, some of the bands are getting disappeared also. Some of the interference bands gets disappeared. That is, these bands, interference fringes are disappeared, because at the same angle where you are forming a maximum, there you are forming a diffraction minimum. That is called missing order. That is, if you take this as a, let us say, 0 fringe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. If you see, some of the interference fringes will be missing due to the diffraction. That is, whenever a diffraction minimum, what is governed by this is called a diffraction envelope. This is covered by called a diffraction envelope, and wherever the diffraction minimum is formed, okay, wherever the diffraction minimum is formed, the interference maxima is quenched. So you will see in the diffraction pattern, some of the interference maxima will be not seen because of coincidence of diffraction minimum at that point. At the same angle, an interference maximum and a diffraction minimum is formed, due to which you will see some of the interference bands will be not seen. That is due to the formation of diffraction envelope. This we call it as a diffraction envelope. So this is the one we call it as diffraction envelope or a fringe envelope, which is prominent only under this condition. The moment you start going back to this condition, then what happens is this slowly starts to disappear. All the interference fringes will come back to its original intensity. So you can see just an animation here which describes the
Excuse me.
interference.
Sir, can
Yes?
you go a little bit slow, sir? We can't catch that.
Sure.
Can you-
No, I'll come back, because this is slightly. I know that there will be some confusions with it. I'll come back to you. Okay. You observe this pattern. Observe this pattern. This is a pattern which is comprising of only interference bands. And the moment diffraction comes, you will see here. Observe the red line. That is a diffraction effect comes into picture. That is when A is very comparable to the wavelength of light, and because of that, you will see here at this position, one of the interference maximum is missing. This maximum will be missing, and again, this is the first diffraction minimum. This is the second diffraction minimum. This is the third diffraction minimum. Correct? Observe the red line. See, 1, 2, 3. At those positions, since diffraction minimum is falling, the corresponding maximas will be missing. So these maximas will go. This one will be missing, I think, if I'm correct. And again, let me come back to this. So these three maximas will disappear in the diffraction pattern due to the overlapping of diffraction minimum forming at the same angle where interference maximas are formed. That we call it as missing orders. So I will repeat this again. So coming to the two-slit diffraction, so that's why I did not explain this image, sort of explaining at a later stage. So you can see here, what you will notice is this kind of the pattern you will be observed over there. You will see here that all the interference bands will be not of same intensity, like in case of interference pattern. From the central maxima, as you move across, the intensity starts decreasing. And not only that, at these positions, you will see that some of the interference bands will be missing at this position. That is because of overlapping of diffraction minimum at interference maximum. This condition happens only when A is comparable to the wavelength of light. So the equation which governs such a pattern is given by I is equal to I max cos square pi d sin theta by lambda sin pi a sin theta by lambda. So this is the interference term and this is the diffraction term. So this is the equations which we are discussing. So the combined effect, that is when there is an interference and a diffraction, is generally given by I theta is equal to Im cos beta square sin alpha by alpha square. So I have taken alpha as pi a sin theta by lambda and beta as pi d sin theta by lambda, where A represents the width of the slit and D represents the separation between the slits. So when you are decreasing the width of the slits, that is when you start reducing A, then what will happen is alpha will tend to 0. In that case, what will happen is that this particular term will get vanished. That means we can say that diffraction effect is not there, only interference. In practical, it is impossible to eliminate the diffraction, but only thing is you can reduce it to a greater extent. Please note there is something different. Alpha is equal to 0 and alpha approaching to 0. Okay, there is a difference. The moment if you close the slit, then gone. Then even the interference pattern also will not be able to see. It is almost getting vanished, but not vanished. Under this condition, you will see only interference. That is all the interference bands will be of equal intensity. Now, in the second case, when you are decreasing the separation between the screw slits, what will happen? When you decrease the separation between the screw slit, it will become a single slit. Then what you will see is the interference pattern will not be there. It is only a diffraction pattern. The same thing which has been put in terms of the images. This is a case where you see that all interference bands of same height, that is of same intensity. Practically speaking, this will not be so. There will be a slight decrease in the intensities of the maxima as you move away from the central maximum, but that is negligible. Under some approximation, we can say neglect it. If as long as you choose a condition, it's almost vanishing slit. Under that condition, we can neglect the diffraction effect. The moment you choose the width of the slit is comparable to the wavelength, you will see an envelope over here. So the combined effect of interference and diffraction is governed by an equation which is put together. This tells you if the diffraction effects are large, then you will see that the intensity of this interference bands is quenched in a greater extent. So whenever there is a diffraction minimum falls on interference maximum, some of the interference pattern, not only here if you see the intensity of the interference bands decreasing, some of them will go missing. That will not be there. So the interference bands will not be seen on the screen. So we call this envelope as diffraction envelope or fringe envelope. So that's what has been shown here. So you can see, first one is a purely interference, where A is very, very less than lambda. Then we slightly relax the condition. A is approximately equal to lambda, in the sense comparable to the wavelength of light. Then the diffraction envelope comes into picture. The moment diffraction envelope comes into picture, the one you are going to see in the blue pattern is a combined effect of interference and diffraction, where you see that some of the interference bands disappear. Yes. Any question? Please feel free to ask before moving on to the problems. Yes. We'll clarify here before proceeding further. Any queries? Yes. Anyone has any queries at this point of time? Feel free to ask. Let us clarify it. Yes.
So when alpha tends to 0,
Yes.
sin alpha becomes 0, right, sir? So how does sin alpha by alpha become 1?
See, that is called in mathematics. You might have learned about indeterminate form, right? 0 by 0, infinity by infinity, right?
Yes, sir.
L'Hospital's rule you need to apply there. You have to differentiate it, right?
Yes, sir.
So it will become 1. It's a good question that nobody asked. I was expecting somebody will ask. See, alpha is 0 by 0, sin 0 is 0, alpha is 0. It will be of 0 by 0 form, right? In mathematics, you might have studied L'Hospital's rule, right? The indeterminate form. So there you need to differentiate this sin alpha, right? Then you will get it as 1. In that case, what will happen? See, for example, in the, here only, I was expecting that somebody will ask here. In that case, if it is 0, at central maximum, the intensity should be 0, right? At theta is 0, it is 0 by 0. Sin 0 is 0, this is also 0. So, 0 by 0, the intensity at the central maximum should be 0, according to that. Right? So, you need to differentiate it. It is 0 by 0 form. I hope it is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone has a query? Somebody has written in the chat. Let me check. Sir, no bright fringes or central maxima will be formed. Okay, that was earlier question. Fine. That is when I choose A is equal to lambda. It's not that. It's entirely occupied by central maxima. Okay. Shall we proceed to the numerical? If you have followed till now, whatever is discussed till now. Yes? I want reply from your side. Then only I will proceed.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, fine.
Sir, could you please show the last slide, the previous one?
Last slide. This one? Or the animation?
Yes, sir, this one.
This one, okay. See, one thing is we were studying at generally separately, but if you come in, if you generally analyzing the pattern, always the equation 1 which is used is here. Based on the conditions, we don't take the diffraction into picture. When we are talking about, depending upon the experimental setup you are built upon. So when you are choosing a condition, when certain conditions are met that where diffractions are limited, you can just take only this to describe the pattern. So when the diffraction effects are not eliminated or not negligible, then you can't consider this equation. You need to take the combined equation. Please note, this is the right equation generally will be used for discussing, evaluating any intensity pattern. As we all know that we can't eliminate diffraction completely, only we can minimize the effect by choosing appropriate value of A. Yes, yes. Any query? I hope whatever has been taught till now is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then we'll proceed with the tutorial. Okay. light of wavelength. Just a minute. I request one to. Okay, fine. Okay. I request to mute yourself the moment you ask the questions or answer the questions. Let's start with the first problem in the chapter 2. The light of wavelength 540 nanometer passes through a slit. The width of the slit here in this case is 0.2 millimeter. The width of the central maximum on the screen is 8.1 millimeter. How far is the screen from the slit? Determine the width of the first bright fringe to the side of the central maximum. Okay. Please do this. I'll give you 5 minutes time for this.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
1.5 meters is the distance.
1.5 meter. Is it true? What about others?
Yes, sir, 1.5.
5 meters.
Yes, sir, 1.5 meters.
Width of first bright fringe to the side of the central maximum is 1.5 meters. Okay.
No,
What
sir,
about
not
others?
width. Not the
This
width.
distance of the screen from the
Distance of
slit
the
is
screen.
1.5
Sorry. Width
meters.
of the central maximum. Width of the central maximum on the screen is. Sorry, you are talking about how far is the screen from the slit? That distance, right? Part A you are
Yes,
talking
sir.
about.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Part A.
That is 1.5 meters. Okay. That's what I was also thinking. How come it will be 1.5 meters for a bright fringe on the central maximum? All of you, please work out. As I mentioned, I hope you've kept a notebook on which you will be solving the problem. I appreciate if you write the problem number as P1, chapter 2, and later on you can copy down the question into your notebook. You can spend time on solving this numerical. So in the same notebook, the other numericals which you are supposed to do that, we expect that you to solve on your own with the sum of the numericals is given to you as a homework. And maybe let's see when the things reopens, maybe once you are in the campus, Let us see how you are written. It's always advisable to keep a notebook for a subject and note down the important things which has not been mentioned. Everything what is in the course material, there will be certain things which will be explained during the class hours. We expect those things to you have to note it down. That will be easier for you to understand better. Okay, what about part B? So most of you are telling that part A is 1.5 meters. What about part B?
Sir, 4.05 mm.
I think none of you got the answer for part B.
Sir,
Yes,
sir, 4.05 mm.
4.05 mm. How much you told? 4 point?
05.
Okay, Arnav Mehra, right?
8.1 by 2, sir.
Yes,
8.1 by 2 or 4.
8.1 by, okay. So we have the condition sin theta m is equal to m lambda by a. A is m is equal to plus or minus 1, 2, and so on. And the location of the slit at a distance L from the slit of the dark fringe of the order m is equal to y dark is equal to L tan theta m. We can write it as L sin theta m, which is equal to m lambda by ml into m lambda into L by a. So in that case, the central maximum will be from first dark fringe to one side to the second dark fringe on the other side, right? If you have like this, so this is from first dark fringe on one side to the second dark fringe on the other side. So that will be the central maximum which will be extending. So you have the central maximum width is equal to y dark m1 minus y dark m minus 1. So in that case, it will be 2 lambda L by A, and you have width L is equal to A into central maximum width, which is already given over there, and L is 1.5 meters. That is part 1. Coming to part 2, the first order bright fringe extends from M is
Sir,
equal to
can you
1
give some time to write the first part?
I'll give. Let me explain and then I'll give time
Okay,
to you.
okay.
So, for the second part, so if you see here, if you have a pattern, sorry. So you have the first order bright fringe somewhere between first dark fringe and the second dark fringe. So this is the bright fringe you are having, the first order bright fringe you are having. So between 1 and this is 2. First dark fringe and this is a second dark fringe. So you have the first order bright fringe which extends between these two. So you can write delta y bright, the width of the first order bright fringe can be written as y dark m is equal to 2 minus y dark m is equal to 1. So that L by A, that is 4.05 meters. Okay, you can copy it down. So let me give the solution. Yes. Those who are not got, copy it down, write down the formula, and you can check it later. Don't write entire thing, entire description. Note down the formula. Later on, you can refer to the video and check the answer. Solve yourself once again using the same formula and check whether you are getting the same answer or not. Okay. Copy it down. The moment if you have copied down, just let me know. Somebody was asking for time to copy it down. Once you are done with it, just let me know.
Completed, sir.
If you completed, let us continue with the next numerical.
No, sir. 1 minute. Sir.
Note down only the formula. Rest you try to calculate and check that you get the same answer.
Yes, sir. Done.
Okay. So let us continue with the next numerical. Okay. So this is problem number 3. So problem number 2 will be for you. A screen is placed 50 centimeter from a single slit which is illuminated with a wavelength of 690 nanometer, if the distance between the first and third minima in diffraction pattern is 3 millimeter. Okay, so that is the separation between first and third minima in diffraction pattern. What is the width of the slit? Anyone got the answer?
Point 0.23 millimeters.
0.23 millimeter. So condition for single slit diffraction minima at small angles is y by L is equal to sin theta, dark is equal to m lambda by A. That is A sin theta is equal to m lambda. That formula we have used. And the differences between the first and the third dark fringes are delta y by delta lambda is equal to delta m lambda by A. So here delta y is 3 millimeter, which is already given here. You can see this width is already 3 millimeters, is given here. And delta m will be, m is 3 and m is 1, right? So delta m will be 2. So hence the width of the slit is A is equal to lambda L delta m by delta y. So A is 2.3 and that's to minus 4 meters. All of you got the same value, or does anyone get something else?
Yes, sir. Same.
Same. Okay, fine. I'm happy that you are getting same and doing well. Shall we move further if everyone has solved? Yes, anyone needs time, let me know. If I don't get any response, I presume that everyone has solved this and I'll move to the next one. Shall we move on to the next numerical if everyone is
Yes, sir.
okay with it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If somebody has an issue, just let me know. So write down this formula, these two formulas, and then try to compute that you get the same solution. Just check if you are not able to arrive at A is equal to 2.10 raised to minus 4 meters. Okay. If no one has any query related to this numerical or topic, we'll move further, and maybe we'll take of this numerical and then we'll wind up the today's session. And again, as I suggested, P2 and P4 is for you people to solve. This is problem number 5. You have a diffraction pattern which is formed on the screen, which is kept at a distance of 120 centimeter from a 0.4 millimeter wide slit. That is, A is 0.4 mm, and the wavelength you are using is 546 nanometer, 0.1 nanometer. You need to calculate the intensity, that is I by Imax, at a point on a screen from the center of the principal maxima, which is 4.1 millimeter. You have a single slit, you have a screen, and this width is this is A, which is 0.44, and this is 120 centimeter, and this is central maxima, and you have to calculate the intensity at a point on the screen 4.1 millimeter from the central maximum. Let us say this is a point on the screen. So, which is 4.1 millimeter. At this point, you need to find the intensity. Okay. How will you go ahead with it? A is already given to you, which is 0.4 millimeter. This is 4.1 millimeter. This width is given as 4.1 millimeter. This is 120 centimeter, and the wavelength given to you is 546.1. Yes? Anyone got the answer to this?
Sir?
Yes? Yes.
Sir, we need to first find out sine theta in order to calculate I, sir, which will be y by L only, sir.
No, you try, and if you're not able to get, I'll explain.
No, sir. Sir, it is 1.62 into 10 power minus 2. So.
Minus 2. Okay. Let me check. I hope you are able to see. You are able to see, or let me erase that. Erase it. Okay. So you need to calculate sin theta is equal to tan theta is equal to y by L. So that is 3.41 and 10 raised to minus 3. And you have an expression I is equal to I max pi a sin theta by lambda. You have been asked to find the fractional intensity at that point on a screen, which is 4.1 millimeter from the center of the principal maximum. So please note that is in the radians. So you will get 1.6 to 10 raised to minus 2. You are right. Sorry, 7.86. So So the problems, as I was mentioning, is problem number 4, which is given at the end of the chapter 2 in the course material is for you to solve. So I have solved 3 numericals here, and you need to work out 2. So which is expected that you solve before the next Wednesday's class. I hope this problem is clear to you. Expression for intensity in single slit is I is equal to I max sin alpha by alpha, sin alpha whole square by alpha, right? Sin alpha by alpha whole square. So we know that alpha is pi a sin theta by lambda, right? So we need to find out what is that value of alpha or pi a sin theta. So determine that. You use the angle small angle approximation. Sin theta is equal to tan theta is equal to y by lambda. You will get what is sin theta, and you all know what is lambda is given to you. You get 7.862 radians. So you substitute the same, you will get 1.62 10 raised to minus 2. So while calculating, choose appropriate modes in the calculator. The degree modes or radian modes should be chosen carefully. Otherwise, most of you will get some other answer here. Am I right? Yes. All of you got the answer?
Yes, sir.
All different? Okay. In this particular thing, if you are getting different answer, possibly you are operating the calculator in some other mode. Okay. Choose the radian mode or degree modes appropriately whenever using this kind of problems. Usually it will be in the degree mode. You may have to change it to the radians mode while operating the calculator. So you should be careful while solving these kind of numericals. Okay. So with this, we have come to the end of the today's class. Those who have any queries, they can stay back and get it clarified. And those who are done with this